It's dark outside, but it's light in here. Chanuka, Chanuka is here.
Happy Chanuka, Chanuka Sameach. It's the fourth night of Chanuka. Does anybody here know how many mitzvahs there are in the Torah? 613 Taryag mitzvahs. You remember from Rashi in the parsha last week, where Yaakov said to Esav, according to Rashi, Im Lavan Garti v'Taryag mitzvos shamarti. I was able to live with Lavan and keep all 613 mitzvos. The only thing is, the Torah doesn't tell us exactly what the 613 mitzvos are. The Torah tells us all the mitzvos, but many of them are Farshim try to figure out how can we label exactly what the 613 mitzvos are. The Sefer HaChinuch has a list, the Rambam has a list, others have a list, and then other Mefarshim argue about and disagree. Why did you leave this off your list? Why did you have this one on your list when it shouldn't have been? So the Ramban asks a few questions on the Rambam's list, and one of the big ones, one of the famous ones is, Mr. Rambam, how could you have possibly, on your list of 613 mitzvahs, never mention the mitzvah of living in Eretz Yisrael? The Torah tells us that we have to conquer the land, we have to settle the land. Isn't it clear, isn't it obvious that there's a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael? Rambam, how did you leave it off? Could it be that it's not one of the mitzvahs? Maybe. But here's one answer, one explanation that some Mefarshim give for the Rambam. You know why living in Eretz Yisrael isn't listed as one of the 613 mitzvahs? Should I tell you why? Because there are so many mitzvahs that you can only do if you live in Eretz Yisrael. If you don't live in Eretz Yisrael, you can't give Truma, you can't give Meiser, you can't give Leket, Shechacha, or Peah, you can't bring Karbanos in the times of the Beis HaMikdash. There's probably dozens, maybe even hundreds of mitzvahs that you can't do fully or properly if you don't live in Eretz Yisrael, especially during the times of the Beis HaMikdash. So the Rambam doesn't even need to tell us that living in Israel is one of the 613 mitzvahs. It's the foundation. It's the prerequisite. It's what's required and needed to fulfill so many of the other mitzvahs. It's not just one mitzvah. It's what allows us to do. It's like 200 mitzvahs because it's what allows us to do so many more of the mitzvahs. Eretz Yisrael, whether you have the privilege of living there now or not yet, but hopefully soon, we have to remember, is not just one mitzvah, but is such an important part of all of the mitzvahs and all of Torah. And that's one of the things that we celebrate on Chanuka. One of the miracles of Chanuka is that one of those special mitzvahs that you could only do in Israel, that you could only do in the Beis HaMikdash, lighting the menorah. The fact that we were able to do it a few extra days, the fact that we were able to do it for the first time in a long time, that is worth making a yontif for. That is worth lighting our menorahs for. Because a mitzvah, and especially a special mitzvah in Eretz Yisrael, is something worth celebrating. Happy Chanuka, everybody! Happy Chanuka! Happy Chanuka!